Good morning and welcome to our Light Rod Live session focusing on Intellicut and the Aerocut Prime. We're going to start with a brief description on Intellicut, and we'll go into a software demo, and then we'll come back and run the jobs that we've created on the Aerocut Prime. I'll hand it over to Zach Rivers now for the demonstration.
Hello everyone, welcome to today's Intellicut Software Art to Finish live demonstration. As Karen just mentioned, we are going to start with a software overview using a screen share version of the Intellicut software that comes bundled with the Aerocut device. We'll go through and create a couple of jobs together. We'll program the Aerocut together through our local area network connection in the office here. And then we'll print out those jobs and I'll hand it back over to Karen, who will take them and show you the workflow on the machine itself. That's why we call it the art to finish. I'll be starting with the art. I'll be walking through the workflow process that comes included with the machine, and we'll then demonstrate in a live video section camera the finished piece process by scanning those printed pages at the machine and watching them finish. Intellicut software comes included with the purchase of the Aerocut Velocity and the Aerocut Prime. That software is a full-fledged in-position and controller software that's bundled into one and comes when you purchase those machines. That software license begins when the software is installed. So any customer has the opportunity to use that software for one entire year. The purchase of the machines comes with the purchase of the software as well as 1 year of annual licensing, and that year begins when the software is installed. So it can be used when the customer is ready to implement that workflow and not when they purchase the device. Intellicut is an exclusive technology and it's a groundbreaking technology. It's the first time that an in-position tool simultaneously acts as the controller of the machine. Unlike competitive solutions that require you to actually go to the machine and use a computer that's hardwired to the cutter as a controller, we thought it would make more sense to utilize the Aerocut's local area network Ethernet port that's on the back of the machine to have any computer in the office act as the controller. And we thought the best place for that to occur is during the pre-press process where a graphic designer is staging the job for cutting. When you impose the job, you actually know exactly at that point in the process exactly how the Aerocut needs to finish. So why might as well consolidate the entire workflow into that single point of truth and have everything completed in pre-press so that when the pages are printed, the Aerocut knows exactly what to do. So that's exactly how the Intellicut software works. It utilizes local area connection. It allows any computer in the office to act as a controller while they're simultaneously creating the file for printing. Our software is a full-fledged in-position and variable data tool that can handle complex jobs laid out exactly as the Aerocut will cut them, and we'll take a look at that there. Take a look at that in the software in just a second here. But the idea is you create a PDF print file. That template is automatically sent to the Aerocut. A barcode is automatically added by our software, and we'll scan and finish at the machine. I'm going to now hop into the Intellicut software. Again, this software generally lives on a graphic designer's computer anywhere in your office, and creates the PDF print file and automatically programs the machine. Today we'll be creating a number of different type of templates. The Aerocut has 3 distinct template types: the preset templates, which is 180 templates that are in the memory of the Aerocut on day 1 and also in the memory of the Intellicut software template library on day 1. These are the easiest to use because they're already pre-programmed. Another nice thing about these templates is that they're based on popular cut sizes on all popular US-based paper sizes. So things like business cards, postcards, certain tickets, full-page cutouts, 8.5 by 11 cut out on 12 by 18, things like that, are all preset templates that are already in our memory, already have appropriate barcode, and already in the memory of the Aerocut. The second type of template we'll be creating today is a Manuset template. That's 100 additional memory slots the Aerocut gives you to create a custom template any size that meets its cutting requirements, as long as the cards are all the same size, which is most of the time what you're doing on an Aerocut when you're finishing. The last template type we're going to look at today is called the Flex Mode, which allows you to cut, really have complete flexibility over any type of job you want, and allows you to create things that are like jobs that are not the same size, cutouts that are not the same size on the page, and also use some of the Prime more advanced features like cross-perfing, jump perfing, and things like that. We'll take a look at some of those features as well. We're going to start out by creating a popular template that is used on the machine, which is on printing on 12 by 18 paper. So I'll filter down to that. And then I want to do a 5 by 7 postcard. So I'll actually type in the keyword here to find that much easier in my list. I'm going to do simplex, so the first option on the list. A new feature that we have to the software is when you select the template type, you now get a preview of what that's going to look like. So any template you select, you actually get an idea for what that's going to look like before you even get to the stage of adding in your artwork. We found the template that we want. We can now name our project, and we can indicate whether it has bleed by checking the bleed box on here. I also have the ability to now tell the software how my artwork will be brought in and in terms of what orientation it is. In this case, my postcard artwork is portrait. So as I do that, you'll see the preview update. And it makes it so that we don't have to rotate artwork when we bring it in. Just a step that it eliminates in the future. It makes it easier for us when we're staging the job to create the PDF. I'll now press finish. We always work in the one-up preview. In this case, it's simplex, so we only have one tab here, but in duplex, two-sided, we have a front side tab and a back side tab for the different artworks that will be placed on each side. You can always select preview and position from the home tab to get an idea for what that will look like, including where the bleed and the cut lines are. Pink line is cut line, bleed is the blue line, as well as the place where the alignment mark is and the barcode, and also the name of the template will be placed when we create the PDF. I'm going to exit out of preview. I'm going to select import image to bring in a PDF artwork of the job I'm looking to cut today. This is a 5 by 7 piece of artwork size PDF that also has a little bit of room for bleed, which we need to be able to place onto the page. And you can see that when I bring that in, we now see where the cut line is and where that bleed extends to. Because of the preset template, this is the last step that I have to do. I do not have to communicate with the Aerocut whatsoever. I do not have to set create any settings that are programmed into the machine. I simply create my PDF, and the barcode will automatically tell the machine exactly what to do based on the preset template we selected, because this template is in the memory of the machine on day one and it's in our software already. If we wanted to do some more advanced features in terms of adding variable data or address information, I'm going to just show that briefly to you here. We'll have a future sessions to do that in more detail and offer training on that, but just so that you know it's an available feature, you can always add a CSV data file. You can also bring in PDF pages that are pre-merged. That's another feature that we allow in terms of an option for variable data. But in this case, I'm going to bring in a data file of postcard information. I bring in that CSV file, and you can see that the variable data fields show up on the right side of the page. I can easily drag and drop data fields onto the design, and this is now a mail merge data field that will be created and stacked in the order of the data. Everything that is done within our software is under the assumption and knows that you'll be using the Aerocut for finishing. That's extremely important in this situation when using variable data, because we know exactly how the pages are going to cut and stack, and we know the order of the data that you're bringing it into. So what that means is that when these PDF pages are created with variable data merging, they're ordered in the way that they're going to cut and stack to maintain the stack ordering of your job. The stacks will come out exactly as the order of your data, and so you'll be able to ensure that you have the finished pieces in the order of which your data was brought in. When you lay on data onto the page, you simply can create your PDF at that point, and it will now create a variable data mail merge to the card. All right, I'm going to exit out of this. And we're going to create our next job, which is now a Manuset job. This is what we refer to as Manuset or custom template. This is a job that you'd like to add to your library because it's not there already. Any Manuset job you create will be added to the bottom of your list for future use. The idea being that you simply have to create a Manuset template one time. It saves in your Intellicut library for future imposition needs, and it also will save over into the Aerocut's memory. So once you create it for the first time, custom, it will be, for all intents and purposes, like a preset template. It's in your library to bring in a new artwork now, and it will already be in the memory of the machine. But for that very first time, you do have to select the first option on the list, which is custom template. When you do that, you now have the ability to name your template and also associate an available Manuset slot. As I mentioned previously, the Aerocut gives 100 memory slots for concurrent saving of jobs at any given time. To ensure that you aren't going to overwrite an existing job, you can always query the Aerocut and say, select from list, which now shows you every single slot available on the machine and those that are taken and the names of the jobs. So you can either choose a vacant slot, which is what I'm going to do here by seeing that number 19 is vacant, or you can select and overwrite an existing job you know will not be used anymore. Once we select the slot number 19, the Aerocut will now program the machine under the appropriate slot, and our software, Intellicut, will automatically create the appropriate barcode. So this is the very first and last thing you ever have to do to ensure the barcode will work appropriately. I'll now name my template. This is the name that's going to be saved in both the Aerocut as well as the Intellicut software. So it's important to name this based on something that'll be easy to find in the future. I prefer to name this based on the specifications of the job so I can use a keyword search to find it next time that I want to create a template within these specs. In this case, the cut size is 5.25 on by 4 on 12 by 18 paper. So I'll name it as such. I now have to enter the specifications. This is another nice time when the preview feature is extremely helpful, because as I change the specifications, I'll get a sense for exactly how that's going to lay out on the fly. I can make sure in this case then that I'm getting the most up on the page based on the Aerocut requirements and based on the layout specifications. Another thing I like to do is try to change the orientation of the paper. This way I can see automatically which one will give me more cards and optimally utilize the paper real estate. I get 6 up in landscape, but I will get 8 up in portrait. So this is the orientation that I'll be using today. Once I do that, I finish, and it saves the template inside of the template library. And this now asks me if I want to create a job, which I do. The last step here is to bring in our artwork, finalize the specifications of the job. In this case, that will be adding a crease, sending those specifications into the machine, and creating our PDF. So I'm going to bring in my artwork here. I'm going to go to the preview and position, make sure it looks good. Normally, I would at this point directly send the settings of the job into the Aerocut's memory, but I actually do have to add a crease at this point, so I'm going to do that now. When I'm in preview mode, I can simply say add crease here, and I can draw on the page where that crease should go. When I add that crease by drawing it, if I zoom in here, you'll see it's now added that crease to all rows of the job. So it actually added 4 creases with a single click. If I want to ensure that this crease is in the exact measurement that I need it to be in, I can click Configure, and we can see the measurement from the top of the first cut. In this case, I actually drew it exactly correctly at 2 inches, but I could have modified this if it was off by a little bit. You can also highlight the crease and use your arrow keys to align it up with the background design, as that will be where the crease occurs. So you can have multiple ways to ensure your crease is in the appropriate spot. Once I'm happy with the placement of my crease, I can exit out of the preview. I can click on the scissors. And now I can send to the Aerocut through the local area connection. With that being done, the Aerocut is ready to accept the printed PDF, which I'll create now. And you can see here's my PDF ready for printing. The crease and the cuts will have already been associated with the specifications inside of the Aerocut's memory. So this barcode will simply be printed, and no further steps will need to be done by the operator at the Aerocut machine, as you'll see at the end of this demonstration. The Aerocut operator will simply pick this up out of the printer, scan a barcode, and it will perform all necessary actions, even though this is a custom template that will be done for the very first time. It's an extremely optimized workflow. We look to eliminate wasted time and wasted additional steps that are necessary in the finishing process to ensure that your staff is using their time the wisest. The last job that I'm going to be doing here is a flex mode job. And in this case, we're not actually going to be building this job together. I'm going to be showing you the workflow on how to download a template from our website. If you go to lightrod.com, let me pull that over here, and you go to the Demo Center, Demonstration Files. You can select from a number of devices. In this case, we'll be selecting an Aerocut Prime, which is the machine we have in our office, and we'll be selecting 12 by 18 paper. And now we'll be given a number of jobs. Preset jobs have nothing associated with them. You simply download a PDF and print because they're already in your Aerocut's memory. But Manuset and Flex Mode jobs have both a PDF for printing as well as a zip file so that you can program your Aerocut through Intellicut. So in this case, I'm going to be downloading the zip file for a Flex Mode job that I want to use. I'm going to be bringing that into the software by going to the Open Archive button here, finding the zip file I downloaded, and it will automatically bring in that job into my Intellicut software as well as save it to my Intellicut library automatically. I'm going to now send this over to the Aerocut by going to the paper cuts and sending it to the appropriate slot. And now, as easy as that, I have now programmed a complex job that was pre-created by a member of the Intellicut community into my machine. The idea of using this feature from our website is to allow users to share, create their own, and download other users' templates and bringing in their own artwork. So what I've done now is I've downloaded a template, I've saved it into the Aerocut. I have this website will tell you what size of artwork is needed to be used for this template. So simply we highlight the artwork, we press delete to get rid of the pre-composed artwork that was brought in with this archive, and I'm going to bring in my own artwork for a job that I've created myself. There it is. And now I simply create my own PDF. I've already programmed the machine. All the settings are in there. I simply need to create a PDF and print it. Now, one thing that's very unique about Flex Mode, I want to show you what unique features are being used before Karen shows you how it's finished and how it looks like in real life when it's a completely finished card. What we've utilized here is the jump perf features of the machine. The Aerocut Prime allows for jump perfing, which is a perf that doesn't start and stop or go through the entire page, but actually has blank, unfinished space between a perf that then continues on with unfinished space. So we have a slightly perfed area in the middle of the page. We have a number of creases that go through in the opposite direction. And of course, we have a number of cuts that happen to cut this out, which is a two-up job. This will make a lot more sense, but essentially what it does is it creates a creased cable tent card with a perfed out area for flaps to insert into each other so that the cable tent card can stand on its own. Very popularly utilized job that's finished on the Aerocut Prime because of the advantage of having creased jump perf capabilities. I'm going to leave it at that. You'll see a lot more on the second half of the call when I hand it over to Karen and going through the live demonstration. She will be taking all three of the PDFs we just created. We've already printed those out on the printer, and she'll be picking it up there by showing you what those printed pages look like and how they run exactly through the machine when she scans a barcode. The most important thing to remember is that in all the cases, no operator work is done in programming the machine by hand. The operators never have to know anything about the measurements of the jobs themselves because everything's in stage by them in pre-press. They'll simply pick up the printed page, scan a barcode, and walk away. Everything else is in stage for them, even if it's a job that's been that the Aerocut has never done before. We've programmed it from the computer that is done at the graphic designer's desk. No hard wiring or hard manual entering of settings that are on a computer that's directly connected to the machine. No work is done by the operator at all. Awesome. In that case, now what I'm going to do is hand it over to Karen to switch over using our Uber conference technology. What you're going to do is you're going to go to the bottom right section of your screen and change it to grid. When you do that, you'll see a number of participants in the call, and you'll see one. You should see one that shows a live video of the Aerocut currently. There's 3 dots in the bottom left corner, as you'll see on your screen here. Something like this, 3 dots in the bottom right corner. Click on that and select Pin Video. Once you do that, go back to the bottom right corner of your screen where it says grid and change it to dynamic. And that should now give you a full screen display of the video that we're going to be moving over to. If you have any problems with that, you can please feel free to turn on your microphone now and let us know. But again, switch to grid, click on the 3 dots on the screen of the participant that shows the live video, press pin, and now switch back to dynamic. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Zach. We are going to now continue and showing you the live demo. I'm going to just give you a sneak peek of the preview of the finished pieces, a 5x7 postcard, which is a preset template, the tent cards that were a Manuset template, and then the flex mode template. Creating a self-locking with a jump purse, a self-locking stand by downloading a template from the website and replacing the artwork. And all of this, as we saw, was previously programmed. So let's go ahead first and talk a little bit about the Aerocut Prime. We, of course, are the software vendor. Our software is bundled into the Aerocut Prime and Aerocut Velocity. For more information, we encourage you to work with your MBM sales team and MBM dealers for more detailed information. We are looking at the Aerocut Prime, which does have an additional capability of jump purse as well. So we first start by, and I'm going to take, I have 2 copies of each of the jobs that we're going to run. I'll just run them each individually so you can see. But what is nice, because we have the barcode on the page, it will automatically read the barcode. This was generated by the Intellicut software. Because this is a preset template, you can see that the barcode value falls into the 300s. Those are the US paper sizes. There are over 250 some templates that are already programmed right from the get-go on the Aerocut. We also see a cut mark. This cut mark is generated. It's a little OMR mark that is generated along with the PDF. This is a great tool because you are running on cut sheet printers. There's a tendency for the page to shift as it feeds, or the paper to shift, I should say. So that, of course, causes the image maybe to shift slightly on each page. You cannot make any accommodation for that on a guillotine because each page might be just a little bit off. But on this digital type of finishing device, it will, you can program it to read from the top of the cut mark to the first cut, as opposed to the top of the paper to the first mark. So if there is any discrepancy in the image shifting, the entire image will shift, including the cut mark. Let's take a look at the programming screen of the Aerocut. We have set some automated features on the screen, including the barcode change feature. Your options here are for the barcode to be turned off entirely. But of course, since you have the Intellicut software, you'll want to keep that on. There are 2 modes. One, to check the barcode. If the barcode changes from one job to the next, it stops the machine. So the operator maybe can make some adjustments to the machine and then hit continue as something changed in the barcode. That's often very useful. Also, what's a great one is if you want to run jobs, one job after the next. Let's say you're creating a student packet like we have done at many universities, where you have maybe 5 sheets all being finished differently for one student. You can just stack them alternating by 5, and the entire each sheet will automatically readjust and finish differently and go on to the next sheet without any disruption to the machine. Here's what we're talking about with the cut mark. If you have a cut mark on your design, then you put cut mark on, and that causes it to measure, as we indicated, from the top of the cut mark to the first cut. As I mentioned, I've just set my quantity to 2 so that it will feed the first 2 pages. I'm going to go ahead and put my paper into the feeding unit, and then I simply click the start command. it's raising the tray. And the thing to watch, but it goes pretty fast, is the light beam here, the infrared beam that's going to read the barcode. If it needs to make adjustments to the machine, it will feed backwards, readjust the slitters, and now go ahead and cut the piece. We have the prime comes with a feeding belt so that it can lay on the finishing belt, or it can also drop into a tray. So if we look at our finished piece, let me step around the camera. You can see that the postcards have finished. They will lie in stacks. In future sessions, we'll be delving a little bit more into variable data, and we will sort the variable data in a linear fashion so that when it comes out, you would have your stacks A through L, for example, M through Z, so it would automatically sort in a linear fashion. That's a very unique sorting mechanism. Of course, most products sort in a Z stack, as you're cutting down through a guillotine. That's a completely different sort. So it's very nice to have the option to be able to do a linear sort on the Aerocut. Okay, let me go ahead and put these pieces to the side, and we're going to look at the next piece. As we go back and look at the Aerocut screen, you will notice the preset button. That button allows you to be able to scroll through and select which preset template you have. Well, of course, we didn't need to do that because our barcode simply chose the exact right template. The Manuset button allows you to program Manuset jobs. You can enter in all of these kinds of values in order for the job to be programmed. As you saw with the Intellicut Smart Layout Assistant, you simply tell us your cut size, your paper size. We auto lay out the optimum layout for that design that will meet the Aerocut specifications. Then you can place perfs and creases on the job. Hit send to device. It will automatically program the job to the barcode position indicated. So let me go ahead and get back to our start menu. And again, taking a look at the job that was created by Zach, he did just that. He laid out these pieces, auto laid out into a 4x2 format. The page is laid out perfectly so that the slitters positioning will cut the card with the perfect bleed edge. It auto-generated a position that, in this case, Aerocut Manuset position 13, stored the information there along with the barcode. Again, the cut mark is also generated. Let's go ahead and see how this cuts. We will have it is the same effect as a preset template, just as easy in that all the information is already set. Now it will read the barcode, and you'll see that we'll make some adjustments to the slitters because it's a little bit different than the 5x7 postcard. And we can see we end up with two stacks, and it has the crease placed perfectly. So these make little table cards reminding folks, maybe as they're registering for an event, to stay correctly socially distanced, 6 feet. Maybe something that you wouldn't necessarily make, but it's so easy to do here. You're like, well, I can change my artwork and have appropriate artwork for this particular event, where maybe that was a name tag at a different event. Now, the final mode we're going to talk about is flex mode. This mode is quite complex, but made easy, again, by the Intellicut software. In flex mode, you can actually create different size pieces. You can specify different cuts and creases, jump perfing. It's very complicated to program, but very, very flexible. Many interesting jobs can be done in flex mode. We presented you in this introductory session a fairly simple flex mode job. It does cut into 2 even pieces, but we will show in later sessions where you can have all different size pieces. There we go. And we can see in the finished product that it makes the 3 creases. And of course, that doesn't make for a real stable table card. So this unique ability to do just a little jump perf makes this unique locking mechanism. This template is very popular, and as Zach pointed out, you can find that on the website, download it, and simply add your own artwork for your Aerocut. We just want to thank you for joining the session. If you go to lightrodlive.com, you'll see we have additional sessions on the not only the Aerocut and additional features on the Aerocut, but we also have sessions on the Triumph cutter. This is a standard guillotine cutter that has a unique interface called VR Cut that allows any operator, even if they don't have experience on working a guillotine, to be able to be set up jobs and guide them right through the process. So we look forward to seeing you at another Light Rod Live session. Thank you.